Well, the Tea Party is quickly proving to be a force to be reckoned with across the country.
And you may be surprised to know the Libertarians are making some noise, too. For more insight, I talked earlier with representatives from the Tea Party and the Libertarians. Joining us to talk about what voters want as we head into the November elections, Michael Williams with the Georgia Tea Party and Brett Bittner with the Libertarian Party of Georgia. Michael, let me start with you. It seems like the Tea Party came up out of nowhere overnight and certainly made headlines this week, given the win, some say surprisingly, in Delaware and New Hampshire primaries. But here in Georgia, I understand you're not endorsing a candidate. So what's the point of your party here?
Well, I want to be very clear, number one, that the Tea Party movement is not a formal political party, nor can I see from my vantage point in the movement anyone of any credibility calling for the creation of a third party. What we're really about is principles and values that apply to all political parties and that we'd like to see making an impact all across the political spectrum.
Who are you serving by that?
Well, we're serving the American people. What we're about is impacting public policy by teaching and educating all those who seek to learn the principles and spirit of individual liberty and constitutionally limited self-government. And I think there's something in there for people on all sides of the political spectrum.
All right, let me bring Brett into the conversation. I thought it was interesting that Michael said they're not talking about a third political party, but we have the Libertarian Party as our third largest political party right now. How are you feeling having these newcomers, if you will, the Tea Party coming in and taking some races?
Well, the Tea Party movement has really helped us to identify some of the angry voters, those that are upset with the status quo, and they've really made it possible for us to reach out to some of the voters that we wouldn't have seen typically, as they would have aligned themselves either with Republicans or Democrats.
So you don't see them coming in and moving you out to perhaps a fourth position?
Well, no, I don't think so. We're seeing a lot of Tea Party participants and a lot of their crowd come to the Libertarian Party because they're not satisfied with the choices that they've been given from the Republican and the Democratic parties.
All right, we're going to take a look at a poll. I have to admit, I think many of us in the media have looked at the Libertarian Party as an afterthought, but we have this poll in the governor's race, and we were surprised. First of all, Deal is leading the way with 49% of the vote, Barnes 38%. This is a Survey USA poll, and your candidate, Libertarian candidate, John Mons, has 9%. We were surprised by this number. Brett, are you?
No, not at all. We've seen a lot of support for Mr. Mons. We're seeing a doubling of support almost since the previous poll, and we're seeing that the undecideds are going down. We're seeing in this poll that Governor Barnes is going down in terms of popularity, and we're seeing Mr. Mons on the rise, and that's by no accident. We're seeing both the Barnes and Deal campaigns just go after each other like crazy, and a lot of the voters aren't happy about the negative campaigning.
Exactly. Michael, where does the Tea Party fit in all of this discussion about whether you're going to be a Republican, a Democrat, or a Libertarian?
Well, I think that regardless of who wins, our work the day after the election is still the same, and our work really doesn't begin until then. Our job is going to be to hold people in office accountable for their decisions and to make them aware of constitutional and founding principles. And that work is going to be the same whether a candidate that we support gets elected or a candidate that we doesn't support.
All right. One of the big things this campaign, of course, has centered around ethics. Nathan Deal, who we said is leading in that poll to be our next governor, is having some problems the last couple of days with his finances coming public. Where do you stand on these candidates? Would you support somebody like that? Does this derail his chance at winning the governor's mansion, Michael?
Well, I think the question for me is not what will he do with his own money, it's what will he do with other people's money. Frankly, in my house, there's a certain level of comfort that I have in my own house that I don't have in other people's houses. So I'm less concerned with how someone handles their own money than how they're going to handle other people's money.
And Brett, do you concur with him?
Well, I think it's more important to focus on the issues that are on all the minds of Georgians. Looking at the economy and jobs, those are certainly more important. And looking at the past.
You don't think it speaks to his character, though, that he's having these issues?
I think that we're more focused on the issues, the actual issues that every Georgian is focused on, because those are the issues that hit closer to home.
In honor of National Constitution Day tomorrow, the Georgia Tea Party and the Georgia chapter of Americans for Prosperity are holding their first annual Constitution Day Festival in Marietta Square. And that event runs from 5 p.m. until 10. Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Tea Party, is it time we ditch the labels altogether? I don't know, but when a man named Barack Obama came along and decided he wanted to be president, he galvanized a group of people who felt disenfranchised, who saw hope and a promise of change in his message. Young people and independents rallied and Barack Obama was elected. Now, another wave of Americans are feeling disenfranchised and they're making their voices heard. And isn't that the way it should be? After all, this country was founded with the idea that we could all have a voice, a democracy that provides for all. No one party or person, for that matter, has all the answers. I'm certainly willing to hear new ideas, approaches, solutions. The winds of change are blowing. Change isn't always bad, and history has shown us it's often necessary. And if you'd like more information about all of the candidates running for office this November, just log on to our website, myfoxatlanta.com, and click on the Politics page.